There are women who have never given birth that are able to induce lactation. So if you have given birth and your baby is young and it has not been a long time since you gave birth, then it's going to be even easier for us to build up that milk supply. And that doesn't mean it's not going to take work. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it is possible. Let's start just by talking about how milk supply works. Hey, Mama Bear. Welcome to the Breastfeeding with Confidence podcast. Do you dream of bonding with your baby through exclusive breastfeeding, but worry about breastfeeding pain or low milk supply? Maybe you're struggling with breastfeeding and no one seems to have any answers. I'm Jaimie, doula, international board certified lactation consultant, and mom of 5, and I have been where you are. After working through painful latches, milk supply worries, and postpartum depression, and supporting countless mothers through their breastfeeding journeys for over 8 years, I'm here to tell you breastfeeding doesn't have to be perfect to be positive. Each week, I'll share breastfeeding tips to help you prevent and overcome unexpected breastfeeding challenges so you can actually enjoy bonding with your baby. If you are ready to shut out the toxic whispers of the world, embrace your God-given intuition, and release your inner fierce mama bear, grab some coffee or your favorite herbal tea and let's dive in. Welcome back to the Breastfeeding with Confidence podcast. Today we are back to our breastfeeding FAQ series and we are answering real questions from real moms. So I waited to the last minute to record this again, which means yesterday, Monday, I posted my Instagram stories asking for your questions. And I got so many wonderful questions, and I can only pick one, right? But that's okay. I have got plenty in stock for another day. I decided to go with this question because I think a lot of you are going to be able to relate to it. And it's really simple, but it's a really common question. So this mama asked, my baby is a month old. Is it too late to increase my milk supply? If this is something you're wondering too, stick around because today I am going to get you some answers on this question. And I think you're going to like what I have to say. But I want you to know that if you decide while you're listening to this that you think this sounds a little too overwhelming and you need one-on-one help, I've got you. My calendar is open for virtual consultations. And yes, I do work with some insurance companies. Now let's dig in. First, I just want to say how common this question is. Like, this is such a common question. Is it too late to increase my milk supply? And the resounding answer every single time is no, it's not too late. Before we get too deep into it, I'm just going to let y'all know there are women who have never given birth that are able to induce lactation. So if you have given birth and your baby is young and it has not been a long time since you gave birth, then it's going to be even easier for us to build up that milk supply. And that doesn't mean it's not going to take work. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it is possible. Let's start just by talking about how milk supply works. It's based on a supply and demand principle, right? You have milk, baby demands the milk, your body makes more milk. If you don't remove the milk frequently enough or you don't remove enough milk, it tells your body to make less milk. And so then you have less milk. Even though the first month or so of breastfeeding is very hormonally driven, after that time frame, it does not mean it's too late to increase your milk supply. This supply demand principle still works. It might take effort, but things that are worth it can be hard sometimes, right? So let's talk about some of the common reasons why moms face low milk supply in the first month. And I don't want y'all to feel guilty about any of this because odds are you were given really bad advice by somebody you trusted. And that's not your fault. Now is just an opportunity to learn and make changes and make decisions based on information. So, one of the first most common reasons I see low milk supply in moms is because they were encouraged to supplement for one reason or another, but nobody explained to them how to supplement in a way that supported and protected their milk supply. Another common challenge is that moms are dealing with a baby who has a poor latch and is not effectively removing milk, or they are using a pump that is not effectively removing milk, meaning the pump doesn't fit properly. We aren't using the proper settings on the pump, something about the pump is not working the way it should. Some other commonly overlooked issues are things like maybe the aftermath of a difficult birth, underlying health conditions that can lead to difficulty making milk, retained placenta. There's a variety of challenges and health conditions that can lead to milk supply issues. And sometimes, a lot of times, we have kind of a combination of all these situations going on. So if you're nodding along and you're thinking, like, yes, I was pressured to use formula, but nobody told me how to do it in a way that protected breastfeeding, or yes, my pump, I don't think my pump is doing what it's supposed to do, or yeah, I did have a traumatic birth and I bled a whole lot and I had retained placenta, but you don't know what to do next. This is exactly what we're going to talk about today. And this is exactly what we go deeper on and uncover and unpeel all the layers on to come up with solutions that work in a virtual consultation. Let's dive into some key strategies for increasing milk supply after your baby's a month or older. The first thing we're going to want to do is make sure that we are having effective milk removal. That's the very first thing. So first, we're going to make sure baby's latch is working properly. Make sure baby is removing milk. Sometimes people think, well, baby's not gaining weight. That's because I'm not making enough milk. But it could be that baby is not removing the milk effectively, therefore not gaining weight and telling your body to make less milk. So it's not you that's the problem. You also need to check and make sure your pump is working efficiently. If you are pumping and dependent on your pump and you're not seeing results with your pump, then we need to be checking pump fit, checking pump suction, checking all those pump parts to make sure that they are connected properly and working properly. The second thing we want to do is maybe look at having more frequent stimulation. This is not going to be the case for all of you, but for a lot of moms, I see that they're going 3 to 4 hours between feeds on a regular basis, and then they're going maybe 5 to 6 hours or longer overnight on a regular basis, along with those longer stretches during the day. And this goes back to the supply and demand thing, that those long stretches without removing milk are telling your body to make less milk. So you either need to increase nursing or pumping sessions. I see this a lot with moms who are wanting to exclusively pump or choosing to exclusively pump, but they're not able to find the time to get enough pumping sessions in. So they're not able to remove enough milk, and then they're supplementing with formula, and they don't want to use formula. They want to increase their pump output, but they're not pumping frequently enough. So one of the first things we'll do is increase the frequency of pumping or increase the frequency of nursing. And this brings us to that nighttime conversation. We need to understand how our milk making hormones work overnight. Around maybe like 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. So the windows vary based on the sources you're looking at, but those early morning hours, those midnight to early morning hours are really important for milk production because your prolactin levels are the highest at that time. They peak during that time. And prolactin is the milk making hormone. So if we stimulate the breast and remove milk during those peak prolactin times, you're going to make more milk and you're going to have a higher prolactin baseline. A higher prolactin baseline sets you up to be able to make more milk throughout the day. So if you are skipping overnight feeds or you are sleeping through pumping, if your baby's sleeping through the night and you're not pumping and you're having milk supply issues, one of those first things we're going to do, along with making sure your baby's removing milk effectively and pumping more frequently, is making sure we're getting some overnight stimulation, either an overnight feeding session or pumping overnight. And if we're already doing all three of those things and your baby is removing milk effectively, your pump is working properly and properly fitted, you are nursing and pumping very frequently, you're up overnight nursing and pumping, and you're still having issues and you feel like, well, I've got this whole demand thing going and my supply is not responding to the demand, then we need to start looking for some other factors that could be at play here. And this is where we start looking at things like tongue ties, PCOS, placenta retention. Sometimes, if you have encapsulated your placenta and you're taking high doses of encapsulated placenta, that can have a negative impact on milk supply. Thyroid conditions can have a negative impact on milk supply. There's so many different things that could be going on that we can address when we get to the root cause. And this is why it's so important to work with somebody who can help you find the root cause of your milk supply issues. Because if you haven't identified the root cause, you can't find solutions that'll work. If you're trying to deal with retained placenta by increasing pumping, you're not going to get anywhere because there's an actual medical condition that needs to be addressed. And the truth is, sometimes retained placenta, the only sign is low milk production. I know that's not what we think, and I know we're told all these signs to look for, like heavy bleeding, signs of infection, but sometimes the only sign is milk production issues. So it's always important to get things like that ruled out. And when you're working with a lactation consultant, they can help you figure out how to go about uncovering those root causes. And, everyone's story is so unique. And you need to remember that what worked for one mom in that Facebook group or that one mom on TikTok or Instagram might not work for you because you probably have your own unique things going on. And that's why personalized support is so important. And let me tell you, I want you to listen very closely to me for a minute. You are worthy of having someone walk alongside you to figure out exactly what's going on and to create a plan that fits your needs. You are capable of that and you are worthy of that. You're not broken. And just because breastfeeding is not perfect right now doesn't mean it can't be positive. Solutions exist. Even though it's hard, if it is important to you, work can be done and changes can happen. I can't promise you an overnight fix. I can't promise you we'll get 100% to what you are envisioning, but I can promise you that you can make confident decisions, that you can feel heard, you can feel seen, and you can understand what the problem is, understand your options for moving forward, and make decisions that you feel comfortable with instead of feeling pressured and not knowing what to do next. I want you to imagine what it would be like to stop Googling your breastfeeding questions at 2 a.m. to know exactly what's normal, exactly what's not normal, to know why you and your baby are struggling, and to know the exact steps you need to take to fix it. That's exactly what you get when we work together in a virtual lactation consult. So here's how this works. You visit my website at littlebearlactation.com/virtual-lactation-consultant, or you can just click the link in the show notes and you fill out a form to check your insurance coverage. And once your insurance is verified or you indicate self-pay, you'll get a link to book where you can choose a day and time that works for you. Then you'll receive a few intake forms and instructions, and we're going to hop on a secure video call and just work it all out together. Afterward, you walk away not just with a game plan for the next step, but you walk away with hope and faith that you can overcome this. Can you imagine what that would feel like? So if you are still wondering, can I increase my milk supply at this stage? The answer is yes. Yes, you can. And I can help you create a plan that works. I'm so glad you joined me today. If you have more questions you want answered on the podcast, please feel free to click the link in the show notes for submitting a question, to visit my website, littlebearlactation.com, to submit your question, or you can message me on Instagram and drop your question there and let me know you want it answered on the podcast. I look forward to seeing you next time. And remember, it is not too late. You are not too far gone. And if you book your consult right now, we can start taking the next steps together. All right, Mama Bear, that is a wrap for today. If this episode helped you feel a little more confident or a little more prepared for breastfeeding, can I ask you a quick favor? Go ahead and leave me a review. It helps other moms find this podcast and join us in this amazing community of fierce and confident mama bears. And hey, if you know a friend who could use some encouragement or real talk about pregnancy, breastfeeding, and all things motherhood, share this episode with her. You've got this, Mama Bear. Trust your instincts, stay fierce, and I'll catch you in the next episode.